Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2019 and the second part of this experiment where we're taking a look at what would happen if you had no players in any team throughout the entire game. So every player in Football Manager 2019 right now is a free agent. Last time, if you missed it, we did go forward 1 year into the future. We looked at where the major transfers were, and today we're going to go another year, possibly two, into the future. We're also going to address a few questions that you guys had and take a look at some of the leagues, clubs and players that you asked me to look at as well. So if you do have a player or team you want me to look at in the next part, do let me know down in the comments. And if you do want a next part, make sure you hit that like button. The last episode was really well received, so definitely smash that like button again if you'd like to see a third part. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. There are experiments every week, normally a couple, and you'll get to see all of the fun stuff we get up to. If you do have ideas for experiments, let me know down below as well. I always like to see what your ideas are and hopefully put them into practice. Now, the way that we're going to start today is by looking at some of the questions that you guys had from last time. Now, the main comments were, in the Premier League at least, around Arsenal and Spurs. The first one being that this Arsenal team is sensational, which it very much is. If you sort them by their league position, as they are currently playing, you've got Aguero up top, Mane and Messi in the wings, with Dele Alli in the middle, then Milner and Vilhena in central midfield, with Gaia, Davies, Marquinhos, Mario Gaspar, and then David De Gea in goal. The value of this team is huge. And then on the bench you've got Stones, Dybala, Gray, Brandt, and then all these great players just sitting in the reserves as well. The Arsenal team is absolutely fantastic. Now, Spurs, who finished third, the funny thing here is that they've got Koscielny, but they've also got a couple of other Arsenal players, Alex Iwobi, and then further down the list, Alexandre Lacazette as well. They obviously re-signed Gareth Bale as well, brought him in, so he's back at Spurs now, and that's how they managed to finish in third place. The other question that was asked, we looked at Newcastle last time, but Leicester also finished above Liverpool. And you can see their team isn't exceptional. If we sort them by value, they've got Guido Pizarro, Anthony Lopez is pretty good, Patrick Roberts and Vallejo and Penaranda, all very good young players. But then you've got players like Jake Livermore and Dendoncker, who are pretty good. I mean, Jake Livermore surely not worth 17 million, but in this save he definitely is. Josh Murphy, the former Newcastle man, further down there. It's a decent team, but it's not sensational. And you can see the Liverpool side that finished below them arguably has an even better team with Bernardo Silva, Rodrigo, Lamar, Coleman, Goretzka, Carvalho, Jose Jimenez. It's such a strong side. They really should have been finishing higher up the table than they actually did. So for the Premier League, that was quite an interesting bunch. When we drop down to the Championship, which I didn't look at last time, you can see Stoke and West Brom finishing at the top. Oh, actually, I think I did look at them last time. But you can see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain here, the big signing for Stoke, 29 million. The rest of the team about what you would expect of a top-tier Championship side, with players like Saive, Diabate all in there as well. Will Grigg still on fire, Daniel Bentley, not David Bentley at the bottom there, and then West Brom as well, I think should have finished above Stoke because they've got Caleri up top, but they've also got Andrea Pinamonte, who's a great young player, Coley Woodrow in there as well. It's a strong Championship team here, and I know they only missed out on the title on goal difference, but when you look at these players, they should have won that league quite comfortably. And then third place, winning the playoffs, was Swansea City. And you can see they've got, again, a decent team. Ryan Shawcross in there, Cameron Jerome, a few old faces, Fraser Campbell down the bottom, all involved in the club. But when Hal Robson-Kanu is your second most expensive player, or joint top most expensive player, you're not doing that well. And when you look right at the bottom here, QPR have got no value in their team whatsoever. The 6.25 million Callum Slattery in on loan and is twice the value of their next player who they do actually own. It's a lot of loan players. It's really poor, and it's no wonder they finished on just 9 points. And that's the same really for Hull. All their best players in on loan, and then 475k for the next one. And that's because these are the teams that didn't have any wage budget. Transfer budget doesn't matter. It's what is your wage budget, and we're seeing the players with the highest wages do the best. Now, if we have a look at the Portuguese League next, which we did not look at last time around, we're going to start with Porto, and you can see they've got a few decent players. Everton, Phil Jones, Dudu, Lucas Castro, but Mark Albrighton in there as well. Leighton Baines at the bottom. They've got a few decent players, but it is not a good side, and that is why they have finished in third place in the most recent season. Sporting finished second, and they have got a much better team. Harry Winks leading the value table, but then they've got Abubakar Diaz in there as well. Carrillo and Mehmedi are pretty good. Marco Marin, who is not Antonio Marin, who's a big wonder kid, who you should definitely look at signing if you haven't already in your save. Antonio Marin is absolutely sensational. It's the left winger you're looking for. He has gone to Rijeka from Dinamo, but he is already doing extremely well for them, and he develops into a world-class player. So worth keeping an eye on him if you are looking for a wonder kid. But Sporting's team pretty good, but the winners of the league were Benfica, and you can see Alex Teixeira, their biggest signing, moved from a Chinese club. Danilo, the right back from Manchester City, in there as well. Muto, who's a player from my Newcastle series, worth 25 million at the moment. Seems to be doing all right for them. He hasn't got many league goals, but good contributions all round. Ospina in goal. Budabouz, another of my Newcastle series players. It's a strong team. You can see why they did so well in the Portuguese league, winning it in the first season of this experiment. Now, the next league that we want to have a quick look at, which I'm surprised I didn't look at last time, is the Scottish League. If we just start with Celtic here, you can see Oliver McBurney, their most expensive player, £16 million, Ashley Westwood, and then Defrel, Hanley, Christie's, two of them, not too bad. They've got a decent 11 here. It's a pretty strong side, actually. For the Scottish Premiership especially, there is quite a lot of value running through this entire team. If they sold this entire team, they'd have a couple of 100 million, I'd imagine, doing quick maths. My quick maths usually fail me in these experiments, but I think that'd add up to 150, 200 million. So the Celtic side looks pretty decent, which is why they did win the league for another year. Rangers, though, came and finished second, and you can see straight away they have none of the same value that you saw in the Celtic team, and really they've got what you would expect a League One team to be like. Because there's a couple of championship level players in here, but there are not many great players. You've got Charlie Adam now in there, Jack Colback, Kyle Bartley, Matthew Targett. These are players that have not succeeded. They're still young, but they have not succeeded particularly well in English football. And Aberdeen have missed out on third place, and they have no value in their team whatsoever. They just cannot compete in bringing in the players with their wages and with their compensation fees as well, which is the other thing to bear in mind. They just had to be a bit more thrifty with their cash, and it's not served them well. So badly, they've actually finished below a Motherwell team that only have 2 players on the books and a third in on loan. So Aberdeen have really let themselves down in that season. Just the last few clubs that were asked for me to take a look at. You can skip ahead if you would like to. I am terrible at typing while I'm talking. But Atlanta United, people did want me to have a look, or another look at, because they did have Cristiano Ronaldo, but they also had Nainggolan, Fernandinho in there as well. That is 3 exceptional designated players. And when we look at the MLS, you can see that's why they finished in third place. LAFC came second. They do have Hulk in their team, but Arabas and Kier, the next designated players, they are not that strong, and maybe Atlanta should have finished above them. But LA Galaxy winning the MLS Cup, they had Benzema, Ozil and Chiellini as their designated players, but then they had great backup players to go alongside that as well. So LA Galaxy finishing as the MLS winners. And then there is also Lyon that people wanted me to take a look at. They finished down in 14th in the league, so we won't spend too much time looking at them. They do have a decent team, though, with 3 exceptional players now, 4 or 5 actually. Balde, Origi, Tadic, Viseka, Sacco and Wilshere. They didn't finish in 14th. That's just a new league table setup. But if we have a look, they did finish in 4th. Marseille were the team that got 2nd. And that is questionable. That is not a great team. There's a few good players in there, but they finished above PSG, who have probably the best team in the game. Their team is out of this world in every position, pretty much. I mean, you've got Pogba, Fernandes and Jorginho in midfield with Yarmolenko, Sane and Kane. But then on the in the reserves, they do have Lukaku, who's not even registered at the moment. I mean, this team is unbelievable. The fact that they didn't win the league and that it went to Monaco says an awful lot about how badly they did. Because Monaco have got a good team, but it is not next level. It's pretty decent, and that's all you can say. Now, the glaring omission from last time was Serie A. You can see, I didn't show this last time, but Juventus won the league last year. 2 points clear of Inter, Torino, Napoli and Roma further down there. 7 teams qualifying for Europe. But you can see by value here that Juventus, Kevin De Bruyne, Kovacic, Draxler, Varane, Rabiot, Verdi, Thauvin, Carvajal, Bailly. This is a really, really strong team, and I'm expecting them to challenge well in the Champions League going forward. Inter Milan, again, a really strong team. A lot of value in this top end. Pavon, Leccelso and Boss, their leading players. It's not a lot of big names, but it's a lot of high value. And then Torino managing to finish third. They do have Jordan Pickford in goal, but their value not that great. It's a few really good young players. They've obviously focused on youngsters, and it's done really well for them. And then finally, if we have a quick look at Napoli here, you can see they've got a lot of value in their team. They're always going to spend a bit of money, and they have put a decent team together. Roma down here as well, not doing that well despite several players over £40 million. Kimpembe and Sarabia, very, very good players. Same for Brozovic and Silva, really. It's a strong team, and they should have finished in the top 4, but they have failed to do so. Now, that is all I'm going to look at from the comments. If there are other things you want me to look at, let me know down in the comments. But let's go forward 1 year into the future and see if things have changed much from last time around. Well, we are now 1 year into the future, and I realise this video has probably gone on for a little while already, so we will run through this quite quickly. There'll be a lot less activity this time. What we're going to be interested in is how the league tables look and which big transfers have taken place. So starting with the Premier League, you can see Arsenal 4 points clear of Spurs. United finished in third with City behind them as well. And then Chelsea, Liverpool down in 6th. Newcastle and Leicester, who did so well last year, have dropped much further down the table. And when we look at the transfers in the league, you can see that Spurs got second place, but they got Mohamed Salah for 72 million into the club, although actually that was for the most recent season, which hasn't yet been played. So the previous year, Arsenal won the league with 2 of the 4 biggest signings, Andrea Conti from Benfica and Emil Forsberg from Napoli, very good signings. Chelsea picked up Jadon Sancho for 65 million, Guendouzi going to City for 51 million, and then Upamecano going to Man City for 54 million as well. So they spent quite a bit of money there, City. Another player down here, Digne, going for 40 million. Newcastle did pick up Roberto Pereira from Napoli for nearly £42.5 million. But really, Spurs have absolutely outperformed because they got William Carvalho and this guy in, whose name I won't try and pronounce. Where is he from? I kind of recognise the name. No, he's from Marseille. He went to Krasnodar and then to Spurs. But otherwise, there's not too many big transfers in the Premier League. Certainly not in players. There's a lot of money being spent, as you would expect. But even then, you'd probably think there'd be more of these high-end transfers than there actually have been. So the Premier League not quite living up to expectations. And it'll be interesting to see how that is reflected in the Champions League. But the top league in the game is La Liga. This does tend to happen, and you can see Real Madrid 97 points, Barcelona with 91, and then Sevilla 10 points back with 81. Atletico Madrid still finishing out of the top 5. They struggled before and they're struggling now. But the really interesting thing is Jesse Lingard got the silver boot with 23 goals for Real Sociedad. And Real Sociedad finished in 7th place, so he has done absolutely brilliantly to do that. And when you look at the Real Sociedad team, it is not that strong. Simone Zaza and Adama Traore, their best players after him. Lois Karius in goal as well. So he is carrying that team, Jesse Lingard. But Cavani, the top goal scorer, Insigne getting the highest average rating, and Ikan Muniain, 13 assists for Valencia. Jose Callejon and then Lorenzo Insigne up next. So Szczesny for Real Madrid, the top clean sheet keeper anyway, with 97 points. You would expect that. But Griezmann, Insigne, Icardi, Aubameyang, it's a strong Real Madrid team. Luis Suarez down here as well. Hamsik. I mean, the team is extremely strong. So strong they can send out Aubameyang, Campbell and Bruma on loan. But when we look at the transfers in this league, Barcelona 76 million, Atletico Madrid did spend 49 million, but it was on Stevan Jovetic, which seems like a bit too much to me, and he did not get a great goal return. 1 in 3 on average is not going to get them up into the Champions League places. But you can see Real Madrid, Gelson Martins, Luis Suarez and Eric Bailly. So Suarez coming back from China to La Liga, but for Real Madrid instead of Barcelona. And Real Madrid just dominated the spending. Barcelona went all in on Luis Alberto, 27-year-old attacking midfielder. He's done well, but I don't think they maybe should have gone all in on that one player. But even then, Real Madrid have just massively outspent them by quite some way. And none of the other teams really competing. When the Chinese club is the next biggest buyer in this list, it's always going to be a two-horse race for the title. So La Liga shaping up as you would expect. Serie A, Inter Milan this time winning the Ligue, which Juventus had won the year before. And when we have a look at the transfers in this league, there's not too many surprises here. Top 4 shaping up as you would expect. But when we look at the transfers for Serie A, you can see you do have Emil Forsberg going to Arsenal, we've looked at before. Real Madrid and then United, 3 of the top 4. So big transfers going in. Juventus, 46.5 million. Inter a bit further back on 37 million with Nacer Chadli. But they are mostly foreign teams at the top end of here. It's players leaving Serie A and not coming to it. And you can see even here, all the way this far down, you've only had 3 Italian teams appear. And that's at the 22 million point. So they really haven't gone out and made a statement, but they have picked up Sergio Ramos from Quanjian for just £27.5 million. He is a big signing for Juventus, and they are setting themselves up to become the dominant force once again. Inter have done well. Nacer Chadli and David Luiz, they're big signings. They've also got João Felix down here, who's a good player as well. So they're spending a bit of money, but I think Juventus will eventually completely displace them and start to clean up in that league. Roma did well as well to get second place, but really that league is going to be all about Juventus, is my prediction. Now in the Bundesliga, last time it was won by Bayer Leverkusen, with Bayern Munich finishing in third. This time Bayer pushed a second by Bayern Munich taking the title. And when we have a look at last season's results, you can see 9 points clear at the top ahead of Bayer Leverkusen, Mainz 7 points further back, and then finishing 18 points off the top were Borussia Dortmund. They have really struggled, but you can see again the biggest players leaving the league, with Sancho, Christensen, Guendouzi and Upamecano all leaving. Man City clearing out the Bundesliga. But the big spenders for the German perspective was Bayern Munich, as you would expect. Son, 43 million, a great signing. Baba Rahman, Ita, Vinicius Jr., Diogo Dalot, the former United player, all been picked up. Bayer a bit further down, the next biggest spenders really. I mean, Borussia Dortmund went all in on these two, but they did sell a player for 42 million as well. But Bayer down here with a few additions rather than concentrating all in just 2 signings, which is maybe why they finished so far above Borussia Dortmund. Mainz, I can't see it here. They've got 1 transfer there. They've got a decent team. Berardi will be a good player. Bazor. They've gone for youngsters, which is maybe why they've done so well, outperforming. But I imagine a lot of those players will be poached in the coming years. So the Bundesliga is starting to shape up as you would probably expect. Liga, if we have a look at this, before PSG finished in second place, and they have they finished in third place, and this time they have gone to second, but they've still missed out on the title. Monaco winning it 2 years in a row. When we look at the transfers here, you can see going to the most recent season, I think. There we go. Lukaku, the big transfer to PSG, Christensen and Theo Hernandez. And then you've got Carlos Soler as well. PSG dominating the spending. Monaco got Roman Zobnin. And then they've got a few players down here, but nobody that great other than Nainggolan. 10.5 million from Atlanta is an absolute steal. And Nathaniel Klein's a good signing as well for them. But really, PSG are spending so much money, and they have such a good team, but they cannot win this title ahead of Monaco. They've got Kane, Sane, Pogba, Lukaku, Bellerin, Morata, Christensen, Jorginho. It's just fantastic. Donnarumma in goal as well. But it's not enough, and it's this Monaco team totally frustrating them. They've got Rodriguez back at the club, to be fair. Jesus, Vitolo, Inaka Williams. I mean, it's a decent side, but I still just do not think it's anywhere near as good as that PSG team, and they should be doing an awful lot better. A quick look at the Russian league. Zenit winning this league. You can see here are their players. If you do want to pause the screen and have a look, there's no major names there. Spartak Moscow won it the previous year. They've got a better team, I think, and probably should have won it this year. Lokomotiv, though, the team that finished second, and they've got a cracking midfield. Martinez, Ramsey and Hendricks. Kotroviak in there as well. Matip in defence. They've probably got the strongest team. Paye I saw on that list as well. Portuguese Premier League went to Sporting, finishing above Benfica this time. Harry Winks, Abubakar, players we've already seen in this episode. Benfica failing to retain the title. Again, they've got a pretty similar team. Not a lot of changes there. And that will probably be it. I mean, we need to have a look actually at the Champions League before we do go. But if you are enjoying this video and would like to see another part, make sure you do drop a like on it. Now, as you can see, Barcelona are the current champions. They've taken Real Madrid's crown. If we start with the quarterfinal stage, you can see PSG beat Valencia, Barcelona, Real Madrid, City, Napoli and Spurs into Milan. In the semi-finals, City and Spurs both knocked out, Barcelona and PSG making it to the final, and Barcelona did win it. The year before it was Real Madrid beating PSG, this year it's Barcelona beating PSG, and that means they've been runner-up in the League and in the Champions League, or they've missed out on the League at least, and the Champions League 2 years on the bounce. That is going to be a bitter blow, and can they come back next time around? Looking quickly at the Europa League semi-finals, you can see Milan and Bayern got to the final ahead of Marseille and Benfica. Good to see these are proper second kind of tier teams and not the elite just dropping into it and then outperforming, but Bayer Leverkusen winning the Europa League. Final thing I will take a look at is the World Golden Ball. You can see Harry Kane won the last one for PSG, Icardi second with Real Madrid, and then Hazard for City third. But it's Lorenzo Insigne winning it for Real Madrid this year. Harry Kane pushed a second, and then Griezmann of Real Madrid in third place. So Real Madrid really pushing to retain this Golden Ball, which they won with Cristiano Ronaldo so many times. But no sign of Ronaldo or Messi, who Ronaldo I think is probably still in America, which he is here with Atlanta, still there, 36 and 34 and 12 and 12. And then Messi, I imagine, is still at Arsenal, which he is. And you can see there, 15 in 34, 20 in 37 starts. He's doing alright for them. He's not completely blowing the world away. But these two players no longer competing for the Golden Ball, which is not a surprise for Ronaldo, bearing in mind he's in the MLS with a lower coefficient, but it is a surprise for Messi, who is in the Premier League and winning the Premier League as well. He is just not quite as good in this game, I don't think. But that is going to be it for this episode. It was a bit longer than normal. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you want to see in the next one down in the comments. Make sure to drop a like on the video as well, and subscribe if you're new. But until next time, see ya!